are. Hello. Hello. Top of the Thursday to you. Warren. It's Thursday. It means it's time for the Thursday stream. Juno just hit the bricks. She was nice and comfy there on her... was nice and comfy there on the couch, on the armchair, I should say. And then I started talking loud and she's like, fuck this guy. And she hit the bricks. This is extremely bright. Forgot to adjust this, the brightness on this on the screen here. Then you go like this, and then, you know, I can understand why people don't like fiddling around with their screen settings. It's extremely unintuitive. I can't blame anyone who's like, I don't like to fuck around with them. You know what I mean? Like, you get the buttons and then it's like, this is an arrow, and then this becomes an arrow. Then you click on that and then it becomes another arrow that's pointing in another direction. And then the button you've been pressing suddenly becomes the cancel button. Like, it's like, you know, very poor user interfaces. Like, they expect, you know, computer users to all be like turbo geeks. I think that's a very unfair expectation to put on people, on humanity in general. But there we go. What a fucking week. I'm gonna tell you, not exactly my favorite week of all time. I get Sunday evening, start getting a fever. And I'm very cocky when it comes to getting getting ill, getting a little sick, getting a little diseased. I get a little cocky. So like, I start getting a fever. I got a few chills. I'm like, okay, I'm not going into work tomorrow. So, you know, I text the Slack group, you know, that, hey boys, and you know, I only work with men. What do you want from me? I don't hire. But, hey boys, I'm not gonna be in to work tomorrow, running a fever, you know. Like, okay, cool. And then like, I'm taking it easy, and I'm like, it's a 24-hour thing. By tomorrow evening, I'll be fine. I was out till Wednesday. Like, today is really the first day that I feel really, really good. I don't know if anyone listened to the MrWarrenHayes show this week, but you know, like, I usually record my intro and outro on the day that I'm, you know, putting it all together. Thankfully, I'd already done most of the work, like over the weekend. So I didn't have to like do any like long form editing. So all I had to do was sit down, record myself saying, you know, welcome to the MrWarrenHayes show. And my voice is just like, absolutely, it's like, it's death. I'm listening back to it and I'm like, oh, Jesus Christ. It's awful. I sound like death. It wasn't great. It was just like a bad flu. I don't know. Just stuffy and uncomfortable and aches and fever and, you know, the flu. Just bullshit. Nothing but bullshit. Stupid fucking bullshit. SFB. But, you know, being ill on a long term, right? For a few days has certain advantages. Then you can be like, okay, well, why don't I catch up on media that I haven't dove into, right? So I watched Warfare. If you've heard of this movie, came out earlier this year. Movie about an operation in the during the Iraq War. Absolutely thrilling film. Like, it's all about, it's military minutia, which is something that I should not enjoy, but it's shot with such drama and intensity, I'm super into it. And I'm like, I understand how military operations work now. I can use all the lingo. I feel so smart now. So I watched that. I rewatched Shin Godzilla because I hadn't seen it in a long. I hadn't rewatched it in a long time. And then I was like, you know what? I haven't sunk my teeth into this one for a while. Let me watch this again. And man, it's really just as good as I remembered. It's so good. It's such a great Godzilla film. It's outstanding. And I still got the same. I don't know if anyone has seen, Chad, have you seen Shin Godzilla? If you, because basic, I'm not giving any huge spoilers here, I think, because it's kind of like the centerpiece, the thing that everyone talks about, is that Godzilla essentially is evolving in this film. And his first evolution is just absolutely fucking terrifying. You know, it's crawling down the street because it's walking on its belly because it's not like fully developed, and it's got this crazy ass face that looks like a smile and these big wide yellow eyes. And I remember the first time seeing that, it's just like struck me. I was like, oh, holy fuck, this is frightening. And I watched it again and I was like, oh, holy fuck, this is still really frightening. It's tremendous. It's a great film. It's the Japanese bureaucracy versus Godzilla. And then the Americans get involved because, of course. I like that. I love the film. And what was the other? I started watching The Chair Company from Tim Robinson. I hadn't been able to do that. I love Tim Robinson. I think he's really funny. And episode 2's particularly good. I really liked it. I really liked it. I like the there's the first bit of episode 1 too. And the everything's a mall bit is really funny. But it's right up my speed. Like, this is the kind of comedy I really like. It's the kind of comedy I'm really into. So I watched all of that, and I probably could have watched more stuff. I caught up with Smiling Friends. Watched Ahaha You Clowns also. I could have watched more, but then I was also playing Ball Pit. New video game out there, and y'all should be playing it. It's tremendous. It's so much fun. It's like Arkanoid on steroids. It's fantastic. And it's a lot more fun than how I just described it as Arkanoid on steroids. You could be like, Arkanoid, yuck. You know, but it's super fun. See, look, we've got playing Ball Pit right now, and it's tremendous. It's so much fun. It's really a great game. It's awesome. Because then you do evolutions and you have to combo your balls together. Yes, you have to combo your balls. Get all your jokes out right now. And it's fantastic. I think it's amazing. I played so much Ball Pit. I'm a Ball Pit expert now. Literally a Ball Pit expert. You can ask me anything and I will answer. And I'm pretty far deep into it too. I hate that word so much. I hate the word torsion. It's such a descriptive, an illicitly descriptive word that just sounds exactly as bad as it should. You know, just one of these perfect words in the English language that is just so completely spot on and evocative of what it is. Anyway, so that's what I've been up to. What have you been up to, chat? What did you do without me on Monday? What did you do without me on Monday? Let's say hello to people. Hikaru, nice to see you. Welcome to the chat. Am I going to sneeze? I think this one's on delay. But nice to see you, Hikaru Migi Okana. Nice to see you as well. Member of the Mr. Warren Hayes Show channel. It's a pleasure to have you hanging around here on this fine evening. Silver Apocalypse, nice to see you as well. Also, member of the channel, just tremendous stuff. DGMC is here. Also a member of the channel. For the first time ever, I finished dinner before the show started, and this is what I get. Well, you should have had a longer dinner. What do you want from me? It's like, you know. I do have a fantastic coif. But I do. I've decided with my coif. I've decided tonight I was going to forfeit the ball cap tonight. My hair is kind of like at a point right now where if I wear hats, it starts bulging out on the sides. It's especially bad with the dad hats, but you know, a proper cap can still work, but you know, it's limiting my my options. So I decided to just like, never mind, you know, just move on. I'm glad I'm feeling better too. Thank you so much. Let's watch some wrestling. Nice to see you and welcome. I see you did some proper procrastinating today. That's very good. Tremendous stuff. Mr. Antox, nice to see you and welcome. You've seen Sick as a Dog and more drama coming from Canadians this time. Sarah Stein, hey yo. Hey yo. El Juggalo, nice to see you and welcome to the chat as well. AEW Women's Division blog, hello! And nice to see you. That's right, we're forfeiting the hat tonight. No hat tonight. I'm feeling maybe I should get a Blue Jays hat if they win. They will be, I will purchase a Blue Jays hat, but only if they win. They have to earn my head. My head has to be earned. I don't support jabrones, you know. I don't support dirty jabronis. So they know what to do if they want me to sport a Blue Jays hat. And I will get a hat with a Blue Jay like in color. Not one of these, you know, dark on dark bullshit hats. You know, no. You get the full color treatment. Life's too short for not color, he says while wearing a gray t-shirt. Kristen Ashley is here. Hello, darling. Welcome to the chat. Also just happens to be a member of the MrWarrenHayes Show channel. Hello, darling. DJ Convoy's here as well. Nice to see you. Welcome to the chat, brother. Member of the channel. I have a few days off next week, and yes, Ball Pit is sitting on my DL queue. Hell yeah, let's do it. Got to get all the ball pits. I think I only have like 3 characters left to unlock, and I guess that means 3 levels. But you know what? Look, at some point, this is what's really fun with the game loop, is that at some point, and I feel like at the right moment in the game, you have the possibility to unlock. You have the possibility to unlock using multiple characters at once on a run. So you can have your main character and a partner, and then synergize their balls. Get all your jokes out. Oh, Pedro the Fifth, nice to see you, by the way. Welcome. And then so you get to synergize their balls and use combine your powers essentially. And that adds a whole other level to the gameplay, which I think may have gotten a little stale. I think if that wasn't a part of it, because then it gets really fun, because then you want to try out combos, you want to try out things like synergies that make sense and whatnot. And then sometimes the synergies don't work out and you're like, wow, this sucks. See, I told you. I told you there was a sneeze coming up like 3 minutes ago. I said, it's coming. It's just on delay. And here we go. Oh my God. I'm just wondering if I need to sneeze some more. I don't think so. It'll come. Look, it'll come around if I do. Anyway, ball pit. I can't endorse it enough. They should sponsor me. No, they really don't. They're tremendous. But I mean, if they wanted to, they could. I mean, I'm not playing it live yet. But I'm a ball pit expert. Behold Atlas variant WarrenHayes only available for a limited time. Yeah, exactly. You have to like a Bigfoot signing, essentially. Or the Loch Ness Monster. Or the Jersey Devil. You know, the Chupacabra. Pick your cryptid of choice. Jackalope. The Loveland Frog. Mothman. Just pick your cryptid of choice. Patrick, nice to see you. Welcome to the chat. Also a member of the channel. I'm going to start referring to this time of year when AEW creative starts to feel lazy as Jags season. We need a shorthand phrase since it keeps happening every year. It's true though. It happens at this time of year every year. We know it. We know it. So, you know. It does happen every year. And then Tony comes back in the, in the postseason. Because the Jags never, they never move forward. And he's like, all right. Let me get my ship back on its rails. That's not how it works, but you get what I'm trying to say. And then suddenly the show is back up in quality and you're like, what's been going on? Anyway, thank you everyone for being here. Thank you for coming to join me on this lovely Thursday. It's a pleasure to have you. We've got ourselves a nice little stream tonight. We've got some interesting things to talk about. No, Sarah Stock will not be one of them. I got nothing to add. I got nothing to say about Sarah Stock losing her mind on Twitter. Like if she wants to look, it's just entertaining. She should put her phone down. She should walk away. She should have a friend who should call her. No, go to her home and say, Sarah, I'm taking your phone. Okay, we got to stop this now, Sarah. But in the meantime, I'll be damned if we're not getting some juicy stuff. And she ain't got no one else to blame but herself. I mean, she sure ain't blaming Vince McMahon for anything. Hey, hey, get no respect. What did she go off on? Oh, so many things. No, okay, I promise I'm not, because there's really nothing for me to analyze or to, it's just weirdo behavior. She complained about the Wrestle Dream main event is what she did. And she used very specific wordings, basically saying that it was poisoning children, right? Now it's sort of become iconic. Her, because she was replying to a tweet that had a GIF or a clip of Darby getting drowned in the aquarium, right? And she said something to the effect of, who has the power to stop this? Mothers with their remote control, And I'm like, remote control? What is this, 1996? Anyway, so basically she was having a morality moment, some concern trolling essentially, and then people started going after her, replying, and she started replying back, which which led to many, many different threads and discoveries about Sarah's stock. But I'll tell you one thing, folks. I'll tell you one thing. AEW rejection derangement syndrome is something that exists. It is absolutely a real deal thing. Here's my analysis. Okay, do you wanted some analysis? Here's the analysis. AEW rejection derangement syndrome absolutely exists because everyone who has ever tried to get a job at AEW or who Tony Khan said, you know what, no thank you, we don't need your services, have all turned into online bad faithers. All of them. And it started with Eric Bischoff because Eric Bischoff, when AEW started off, he wasn't on the Tony Khan sucks train. No, because you will recall, folks, Eric Bischoff appeared on, to my memory, 2 separate episodes of AEW Dynamite, if I'm not mistaken. And you know, very high possibility they tried to finagle a job, that he tried to, you want me to consult, work on your business side? And Tony Khan politely declined. Oh, I say politely, I don't know, but just said, no, I don't need you, Eric. Besides, you sink everything you touch. Again, that's probably not what he said. I'm projecting. I'm doing a lot of projecting right now. I'm doing a lot of projecting. And so next thing you know, after these appearances, maybe not immediately after, but it's after these appearances that Eric Bischoff started turning into, the purebred grifter that he is, the granddaddy of them all. And, it's funny how, a guy like Bubba Ray Dudley, so, was the same. It was the same thing for him, right? Was exactly the same thing on his side. Yeah, it's like all of them, all of these people, even all the way down to what's his face? Shit, the angry guy. Help me out, chat. The angry guy that everyone that no one likes, and he's the he was formerly the House of Glory commentator, JD from NY. Okay, connected, even all the way down to him, right? As he started getting mad when AEW started putting down demands on House of Glory if they wanted to use AEW talent. Well, there you go. They all have it, folks. They all have it. You know what the solution is? Just don't work in wrestling. Don't make it your job. Don't make it your career. Be like me. Sit on the sidelines. Sit far away from it, and observe, analyze, bring a cogent, bring up cogent points of view, and you're clear, and your brain will never be broken. Because let me tell you. Anyway, no, we're not done. We're done. We're not talking about Sarah Stock anymore. We're done. Promise. Told you I wouldn't do it. I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do it. All these fools thought they were going to wet their beaks off his money, off this money market. Exactly. And that's one thing. And the second thing is that Tony Khan is perceived as an outsider, right? Because he never came up in the business. He never, he just came in with the money. And a lot of people take offense to that. And, and ultimately, who cares? And yeah, they all thought they were going to be able to scam him. And turns out he was a little smarter than they hoped. Less Sarah Stock, more ball pit chat. That's right. You know what combination I found works really, really well? Once you start getting into the double ball area, the trigger finger, right? And the couple, what are they called? The cohabitants. That's one crazy combo where you can get baby balls all across the board. And you're like, baby balls, Warren, come on now. I mean, look, this is the terminology the game came up with. But it does sound weird to be sitting here and talking about baby balls on stream. So I think we're going to move on. I think we're going to move on from this point on. Thank you again, everyone, for being here. It was a bumpy week this week, but no, stop hearing me. What? No, that's awful. No, never. No, don't ever say that again. The Mr. Warren Hayes show is out this week, of course. Within it, the Wrestle Dream review, right there and available for you on your favorite podcast application, right here on YouTube. So you can go check that out. Not now, but whenever you feel like it. Talk about that. Talk about Andrade. Got a few words on Matt Hardy. Some stream clips from last Thursday, basically. So go in there, check it out, enjoy. Find the time to enjoy it. And the AEW Dynamite review is out today off of last night's. Now, I was a little cranky. I came off. I even myself listening after. I'm listening and I'm like, man, I can't. I'm going in a little hard. I find maybe I was just a little cranky. It's like my first day feeling better. But you're feeling better, but you're not like 100%. You're like 75, 80%, right? So there's still part of you that's still struggling with the disease. And then you just got back to work in the morning and the people at work are really fucking annoying. They're getting on your nerves. You know what I'm saying? So I sit down, I do the review and look, I will admit, maybe I went a little hard, but all of my points stand. I'm just like, I still think that the segments that I thought sucked big time, but maybe I went a little far. Maybe I went, I overextended like how bad it was, or how, not how bad it was, how detrimental it was. That's more like it. Because what I didn't like, I really didn't like. Like, I know. Can you believe that? I thought the first hour was dismal, but the second hour was stellar. A great second hour of pro wrestling. And it's not even the puppet. Because I want to clear this. Like, there's this whole thing about puppets in wrestling right now. And I know exactly where it comes from. I know exactly who's the instigator of this puppet dislike. Okay. And I'm going to tell you exactly what I said in the review. I have a higher tolerance to nonsense in regard, as opposed to many other people, especially in the circles that I hang out in. I have a much higher tolerance for nonsense, especially when the outcomes are usually like tremendous and excellent. Kind of like the Young Bucks. And I use the Young Bucks as an example. The Young Bucks are doing so much annoying shtick. Like, I don't think the broke thing is funny anymore. But if that's motivating the Bucks and it's making them happy and it's motivating them to the point that when they get into the ring, they're having excellent tag team matches, then it's fine. I'll put up with a goofy entrance or some unfunny jokes or some tired shtick backstage, okay? Like, legitimately. And I don't have an issue with the puppet per se. I thought, when Harley was setting herself up to challenge Monet for the TBS title, I was like, I didn't have a problem with it. I thought it was charming. I like Harley. I have a soft spot for her. But last night, it wasn't even the puppet. It was the whole thing. The cake, the presentation, like, none of it made sense. It was super annoying. It really got on my nerves. All I could see was 2018 WWE. That's all I could see. Because it's not even contemporary WWE that they're trying to ape. WWE doesn't even do this shit anymore. They don't do the food fights anymore. Like, I looked at this and was like, this is something to make Vince McMahon laugh. I didn't know who thought this was funny backstage. I didn't think it was funny at all. It was super annoying. And anyway, I go into depth. I even go as far as, it's like, and I'm questioning, is this a good move for, Mercedes Moné, who should be, treated with a lot more reverence and respect considering the level of international stardom that she has. Anyway, like I go far in it, but it's not like the puppet that's the problem. Like the puppet is one element of many things that made this segment untenable to me. And I just wanted to shake whoever, I wanted to shake whoever came up with this like a British nanny. That's what I wanted to do. But and at the same time, look, and I said it, and I'll say it again. I'm probably on an island for this because all I saw on Blue Sky and in the Discord, join the Discord, links in the description, was like, it was praise for this and how great it was. Someone in the comments called me brain dead for not liking this on the YouTube channel. So it's like, I'm probably on an island for this, but I'm okay. I'm okay with it because I'm consistent. I'm consistent in what I like and I don't like. And, this kind of stuff on a pro wrestling show, look, call me a weirdo to want to have pro wrestling on my pro wrestling shows, right? Call me weirdo for that. Call me strange, call me brain dead for wanting to see pro wrestling on my pro wrestling shows and not goofy shtick, which also is not funny, and I've hammered this home ever since I've started doing this, even when I was back on Fightful. Like, I've always used this argument here. It's like wrestling fans are the only type of fan that consume a certain type of media that are okay to watch something that is unrelated to what they're supposed to be watching. If a comedy fan sits down to watch a comedy show like a sitcom, and for the first 20 minutes, let's say 15 minutes of the show, there's no jokes, okay? And I'm not saying unfunny jokes. I'm saying no jokes, not even an attempt to make a joke. It's anything else but jokes. Do you think they're going to sit there and they're going to say, wow, this is okay, let's see where this goes? No, they're going to say, boo, this stinks. This is awful. And yet, professional wrestling fans will sit down to watch a professional wrestling show and be like, oh, it starts with a promo. All right, let's go. And it's like, no, I don't want to see talk. Not when I'm sitting down to watch wrestling. I want to see people fight. This is what I'm watching wrestling for. If I want to see talk, I'll watch Fox News like the rest of us. But you know what I mean? Like, we're the only, we're weird this way in that will accept that wrestling is a variety show, not a show with variety. I'm talking a variety show where, you got the clowns, you've got the singers, you've got the crooners, you got the dancers, but yet it's just supposed to be pro wrestling. It's just supposed to be people pretend fighting, I don't know. I didn't like the segment. I thought it was stupid and dumb and it shouldn't be on AEW, but they've been struggling with an identity crisis for a long time, and it was prevalent last night. Super duper prevalent. Anyway. Whew. Didn't think I'd get worked up again, but here we are. It's not good for my heart. The fuck, chat? You're trying to kill me, Boris? Nice to see you. Welcome. Warren knows about the orange puppet that hates AEW. Oh. My slight annoyance is Briscoe Kyle. They can have a sixth match, but I don't know how much there is left in the tap. I mean, for me, it's an annoyance overall. Like all these feuds that we're continuing, that we're rehashing. You know, the potential. You know, I will admit that it's not super clear, but the potential of having another Darby Mox match when the I Quit match was like the perfect cap. I don't know why we'd try to revisit that in the slightest, but you know, to be fair, Darby did talk about the Death Riders, so he might be feud. But you know, the Hurt Syndicate and the Command, the Demand again, doing their thing. Like, you know, it's like there's so much stuff that we're revisiting right now. I understand why we're doing Hangman and Joe again, like, but it's just like over and over and over. Anyway. What kills me is if you enjoy the wackiness, that's fine. But how does it affect you if I don't? Yeah, I read your blog about that. Why do you need to convert me to liking it? Yeah, why am I, oh, you're so joyless for not enjoying it? Yeah, well, you're so stupid for having enjoying it. How does that make you feel? Asshole. I'm with you. By the way, you're not stupid if you enjoyed it, because you folks, you're the great A+ audience to this D-list podcast, right? So you are fine. I don't mind. You know, it's fine. I do think the cake thing was them trying to course correct to correct too hard, perhaps, from making Stat look awful on Saturday. I didn't think Statlander looked bad on Saturday. It's weird, right? I thought she had a really good match. I know a lot of people, I don't know. Again, I feel like on my own little island, but Storm and Statlander had a really strong physical match, dropping each other, using big moves. It's like, I didn't have an issue with it. I thought it was actually really good. Sanov, nice to see you. Sanov. Why am I pronouncing it like it's Russian? Maybe it is. Maybe I'm doing it right. Sanov. Welcome to the chat. A little cringe. Warren working himself into a shoot every day, brother. Soon it will be Darby and Mox versus the Death Riders once they give Mox the boot. Oh, Silver Apocalypse. See, that's not a bad, that's an interesting twist right there, because Mox right now is having a bit of a crisis of conscience, right? He's like wondering, can he do this without quitting, right? That's why he punched the ref, knocked out the ref, so that he wouldn't have to quit like 2 matches in a row, because he was about to tap. I think the Death Riders will have enough of his nonsense. And who will he be replaced with? Ooh la la! Silver Apocalypse. I like that. Luis Ramirez, nice to see you and welcome. Dude, I didn't say brain dead. Oh, that's all right. It said fed brain because everything has to be compared to what they do. Sorry if you misinterpreted. I appreciate your text and I appreciate you. And I said brain dead, just for, I was embellishing. When you stretch, that little story, you just stretch it out a little bit. I know you said, I understood what you said. I was just like, brain dead sounded better than fed brain because then people, you know what I mean. But I appreciate you and I appreciate you leaving a comment. All you jokers in the chat don't leave comments on my except for Meggie. All you jokers don't leave comments. You hang out here in the chat, you don't leave comments? No, it's fine. You can do whatever. It's fine. All right. But do leave a like on the stream if you're enjoying yourselves already. we're not done. We're not done. In fact, we're just getting started because we got this is what we got to do here. We got to get this. We have to kick things off good and proper. I haven't done this in a couple of days because I was ill, so I'm very excited. And no, I don't otherwise sit around and watch Jacques Molière. So you know.
How you doing, everybody? I'm Jacques Molière. Just let me tell you a little bit about myself.
That's right. Tell us about yourself.
And I represent NWA, Mountain State Wrestling.
Booyah! No. This is when you know things are getting serious. This is when things get serious. I heard Jacques wasn't feeling good, and so he called in and watched Shin Godzilla the night before he shot this video. Respect. Hey, Fred Moreland, nice to see you. Left said Fred. Been a member for 11 months. Thank you, Fred. Glad you're feeling better, Silver Fox. Video? What do you mean video? What are you talking about? A video of me being a silver fox? You've got it right here, partner. I don't know what you want from me. What video? What are we talking about? Fred in his videos. Yeah, the vent. I'm glad the vent has probably taken a couple of shots. Let's just right here. I mean, those were some. That was probably take 1 and take 2 right there. Quite possibly. Oh no! Hey, you have to Jacques Molière responsibly. You can't go too hard here. This is our docket for tonight, folks. We'll see how far we can get into this because apparently I'm in a feisty mood. But okay, it's been a couple of days since I've hit the streams and whatnot, so there is some news that's happened over the past few, and I do want to start off by talking about this bit of insane. Well, it's not insane. That's not the right word. This crazy news that came out of the Observer last week. We're going to read this article off of the Figure 4 Online Observer from the 17th of October. Today's the 23rd when we're recording this. In a sign of the technological times, WWE recently made a new hire that will lead the company's transition into using artificial intelligence for both storytelling / creative and video and graphics. In this week's Wrestling Observer newsletter, Dave Meltzer reported that Cyrus Kowarski was brought on in September as WWE's Senior Director of Creative Strategy after years at Asian-based MMA company One media outlet BuzzFeed before that. Meltzer reported that WWE Chief Creative Officer Paul Triple Levesque introduced Kowarski to the creative staff as someone who would, quote, lead WWE's transition into AI-based storytelling and integrate AI into creative services like video and graphics, unquote, which Levesque said was an inevitable shift when it comes to creative and wrestling. Barf, yuck, hack. Kowarski also said that he will be a, this is the part that drives me up the wall. Kowarski also said he will be a White House liaison, with Levesque taking on more duties in politics, like his involvement on the revived President's Council on Sports, Fitness, and Nutrition. Oh my Lord. WWE has already experimented with AI. Meltzer also reported that WWE has already experimented with AI via Writer Inc., and not INK, INC as an incorporated, as an AI-based platform, but with less than desirable early results. The platform, this quote is fantastic. Here's the quote from the Observer. The platform pitched a storyline where Bobby Lashley, who I guess AI thought was still with the company, could come back as a wrestler who was obsessed with Japanese culture and history. But the feeling is once bugs are worked out and that AI will begin to have major impact on storyline direction. He wrote, adding another unnamed promotion also tried out AI for the creative side, but found whatever they were using couldn't understand wrestling storylines. Yeah, quite frankly, as Chad points out, Weeaboo Bobby Lashley is probably something I'd be very into. I think that would be hilarious. Not gonna lie. And also, there's like no way in hell Bob Lash is like accepting to do that kind of angle. It's fantastic. Anyway, now this was followed up by Fightful Select that issued more details on WWE using AI tools for creative. So again, article from the Figure 4 Online, Wrestling Observer. Fightful Select reported on Sunday that WWE's creative team has been using AI tools, quote unquote, for years. However, it is being used more like a creative assistant to determine things like when two wrestlers last had a match, as opposed to using like cagematch.net. Anyway, it was also said that nobody on the creative team knew of anyone who used the AI system for more than a couple of minutes. That absolutely, no disrespect to Sean, but because he's just reporting what he's being told, right? So this is not a knock on Fightful. That sounds like absolute bullshit. Like it's, oh, we just used it for a couple of minutes. We didn't really, we used it to see, oh, hey, Chat GPT, can you tell me if Dexter Lumis ever fought AJ Styles? Cage match is right fucking there. Anyway, in regards to the recent new hire, Fightful's report says that the creative team is under the impression that he is being brought in to find ways to have AI help remove background noise in shots, organize files quickly, or work on production elements of WWE's shows, as opposed to creative storylines. I don't understand that in the least. I understand the words. I understand the sentence. I understand what it's supposed to be doing. I don't understand how AI is like particularly helpful. Like organize files quickly. Like what the fuck are they running? You know, it's like I don't remove background noise in shots. Sure, like those are they're absolutely using that right now. Like, every editing suite has that now. You know, it's like so I think we're skirting the actual issue here, right? They're not bringing in this dude here on top of that to act like a political liaison between Paul Levesque and the White House just so that he can use his AI tool to remove background noise in shots. That's bullshit. That again, like Sean is just reporting what he's being told, but I don't buy it. I don't buy it for a second. Fightful was also specifically told that AI will not replace the creative writing team, with one top star saying, quote, Michael Hayes, Paul Heyman, and Ed Koskey are not AI. I think that was just meant to be funny. And I don't think anyone is going to be like, no, this is going to replace the top guys. It's not going to replace the top people. But what about the staff underneath? What about all those jokers that were sitting around the table in that That documentary that Paul Levesque whipped up for himself, Unreal, right? When they're all sitting in suits, most of them just don't have any names. They're the red shirts of all of this. They're expendable. It was reported in this week's Wrestling Observer newsletter that Cyrus Kawarsi was brought in back in September as WWE Senior Director. Was brought in back in September as WWE's Senior Director of Creative Strategy. Triple introduced Kawarsi to the creative team as someone that would lead WWE's transition into AI-based storytelling and integrate AI into creative services like video and graphics. Well, this is the part where Warren says what he feels now. Yeah, that's right. This is where we get into it. So, look, we already know that they're using AI for graphics. I think you have to be pretty blind to not notice it. I think everyone's noticed it, right? Chat, you've noticed it. You see the graphics that they're throwing up online, let's say for the Twitter accounts, or, you know, there's some things. I find it's especially egregious when they're using for NXT. I think it's especially egregious when they're doing stuff for NXT where it's clearly AI generated, and you're like, and okay, all right, like that's fine. So like I have absolutely no doubt in my mind that they are using AI for their graphics already, and they're probably indeed using it for audio issues and whatnot. I don't blame them for doing that. I think major sporting organizations do use that. It's just like that is extremely common. Like that kind of stuff is a lot more common than you think. But am I shocked that WWE is considering using AI to generate storylines and whatnot? No. This is a creatively bankrupt company that is run, whose creative, I should say, is run by a phony, a fraud, a complete and utter fraudster who has no real interesting ideas, who cosplays to be a top executive and a really smart dude, when in fact he's just a big jarhead. He's not a jarhead, a jughead. That's all he is. We've talked about and dressed down Paul Levesque multiple times here on stream, and I will never miss an opportunity to do so. And here we are. So I am zero surprised that Paul Levesque, who works a full 8 hours a day only on creative, now has to shrink the amount of time he puts into his creative so that he can fulfill his political aspirations now. Can you imagine? Can you fucking imagine that he's bringing in a guy who'll hook him up with some AI that will do the job for him, and then at the same time that guy will keep him in contact with the White House? It's preposterous. It's completely nuts. But remember what I said not all that long ago, I think maybe even last week. Yeah, I used the term boardroom creative, right? Where these are people in suits, legitimately, people in suits who come and sit around a table and act like they're in a meeting, but they're being creative, right? I think I told the story, back in my years ago when I was more involved in the production side of videos and TV and whatnot. I've sat in a couple of writers' rooms. Writers' room, no one wears a fucking suit in a proper writer's room. Everyone is like, they're in t-shirts, they're in shirts, regular shit, sweaters, blouses, You know, that everyone's just sitting around as comfortable as they can be because writers' rooms are, you know, you got to feel good and you're feeling the vibe and you're sitting down for hours on end. No, you're not sitting around in a fucking suit. It's supposed to be a stimulating, creative environment, not a fucking boardroom. And that's what I mean when we talk about boardroom creatives. When Triple H is, you know, showing these shots of his creative team working, and they're all sitting in this, you know, in a white blasted room, and they have a whiteboard set up, and everyone's in suits, and they look like they're working at Cisco, as opposed to, you know, working in an environment that's creative and should be filled with interesting ideas and whatnot. They all look like stiffs. This is boardroom creative. So if their next step is to introduce AI to improve creative, this again is a boardroom decision. It's not a creative decision. It's a boardroom a boardroom executive decision to cut costs, to be more efficient, and all of this tired fucking bullshit that the corporate side of entertainment keeps pushing down onto the actual creatives who make the shit, to make it, you know, make it quicker, make it faster. You know, it's like do it better, cost effective, and all this shit. When an actual creative process, you know, cannot be mandated by corporate decree. But this is what WWE is. This is why it is a product that feels phony and contrived, because it is not created by people who are truly passionate about the product. These are people who are more interested in making their shareholders happy. So all they're doing is following their metrics, their business KPIs, and see like who's selling what and who's popular and whatnot, and then making decisions based on those metrics, as opposed to, you know, creating actual interesting, compelling things. You know, I may sit here at this microphone or back there on the armchair and complain for like 15 minutes about Mercedes Moné being face planted in a cake, but at the very least, everything that surrounds that feels different. It feels more organic. There's something more alive happening. Whereas WWE, what they do is not only produced, it's overproduced, it's polished, it's, you know, they call it that themselves when they get hired. It's a machine. Well, machines don't give a shit about your feelings or any type of feeling. It's not meant to generate feelings. It's meant to generate results. So if they're deciding to go down this path and say AI is the way of the future and this is what we have to do, we got to stay with the times, it just continues to entrench my point that all this is boardroom creative. It's not true creative. All they're looking for is, you know, making more efficient decisions, you know, saving money, and people are going to lose their jobs. That's ultimately what's going to happen. Is you're going to hear that the creative team has been reduced to 3 people: Paul Heyman, Michael Hayes, and Koski. Suddenly, that's the news that's going to leak, because they're the only 3 that are going to have a fucking ChatGPT account or whatever the fuck, you know, whatever they're using. And I shudder to think at these incredible ideas that this AI is going to come up with. Like WWE already feels like it's run by artificial intelligence. So I cannot even fathom how dopey the storylines are going to become, how once we start sussing out where the actual AI is at. And it's wild to me, here's what's wild to me. Guys like Michael Hayes and Paul Heyman, right? They've been around long enough to know that there is a lot of feeling that goes into booking pro wrestling, especially a guy like Paul Heyman, who's run his, AEW, excuse me, let me say that again, ECW, could not have run following normal business parameters. Like if ECW had been run like a normal business, it would have never made it past 1996. We would have never, ever seen like the true heyday, like the peak ECW, right? Would have never made it to that era. Heyman was basing all of his decisions off of instincts, feelings. Sure, he was seeing numbers and whatnot, but he saw his rabid fan base. He saw how crazy everyone was. Like, he was making his decisions based on vibes. And there's a huge portion of professional wrestling, even on the level of, even on a TV level, a national television level, that happens, that is booked and created just because of sentiment. You see someone, you see how someone's push is going. You're like, oh, this is, this one's not going so well. Maybe we need to phase it out a little bit. Then suddenly over here, you're feeling like there's an uptick, excuse me, for this wrestler over here. Oh, maybe we should focus on this wrestler more. AI is not going to be able to pick up on that. AI is not going to be able to pick up on that kind of shit. Like, I hope I'm conveying my point across as best I can, because I'm not even angry at WWE doing this. I'm more like, of course they're doing this, because it's just the natural progression. It's the natural progression of having a completely contrived product. Well, then why not build your entire brand now off of a machine that will create contrived storylines based on, whatever success that you're pushing into it, right? Because look, if they take the successes that WWE has had over the past few years and pump it into the AI, well, the AI is going to spew out, that there is going to spew out like 4 different stories of groups, stables in the company that all have suspicions, members, being suspicious of each other and going to war with each other amongst the group. That's all the company's going to be, because that's the only part they've ever had any success in. Like, it's crazy, because I knew this company would change dramatically once Vince was going to leave, but I didn't think it would be this fast. And I didn't think it would be this prevalent. And personally, I'm kind of floored. Now, look, am I saying that AEW does, definitely is not using AI? No, yeah, I mean, look, everyone has a ChatGPT account. Everyone just, writes some things, get some brainstorming going. That's one thing. But if your idea is to create entire storylines and whatnot, then you're missing the plot. Then you're completely off the base. It's a different idea. It's different. It's different if you want to brainstorm through an idea, let's say for a movie script, than to have the AI write the movie script for you. Now we've got two completely different things, and it's two different levels. But look, I mean, it's WWE. This is where we're at. That's what they do now. They were already an artificial, overproduced, unnatural company. There you go. Let the flow continue. Let the slop flow through them. That's what it is. That's all there is to it. Hey, Ross and Found, nice to see you. Welcome to the chat, member of the channel as well. They're a bunch of nerds. The people in the writer's room? Yes. Yes, they are. Graphic producer at AEW is $75, $85 a year. At that point, why am I not selling drugs? I mean, 75 to 85K a year here in Canada, US on top of that. I mean, that's a nice salary. I'd take that any day. There's so many issues with AI. I can't wait for more companies to start losing money because they're fucking idiots. We're about to see just how much. We're about to see it. We're about to see. It's all going to come around at some point. And everyone's crossing their fucking fingers that this bubble doesn't burst, because it is a bubble. It is a bubble. A lot of people are going to lose a lot of money if this bubble bursts. WWE going to bring on a Skynet scenario, and Skynet's going to have everyone yeeting. It's not the bug in WWE. It's the feature that they have a storied history of this kind of practice. Yeah, pretty much. There's no way they won't be looking into robot wrestlers in the future. I've made this prediction, and I'm going to make it again. Okay? Not even robots, yes, but even closer than that, holograms. And I am willing to bet money that at the Saudi Arabia WrestleMania in 2 years, they are going to debut hologram wrestling that is all going to be powered by AI or some bullshit, right? And they're going to tout that, and they're going to call it the future, and they're going to have it's going to be like Andre the Giant versus Hulk Hogan. They're going to do a rematch with both guys dead, using their likeness because they own it. They own the likeness. And they're going to have hologram wrestling. And I'm predicting that because the Saudis have that kind of money. The Saudis want this kind of weird, this type of weird spectacle. That's what they want. Mark my words, folks. Okay? And if it doesn't happen, cooler heads have prevailed, and I can only applaud them. But if it does, Rock'em Sock'em Wrestling, pretty much. People swore 3 years ago when Vince was gone, then WWE was gone from WWE. Excuse me. People swore 3 years ago when Vince was gone that WWE would be just champagne wishes and caviar dreams. Now it's AI slop from a bucket. That's well said, if I could only read properly. On one hand, using AI instead of writers is the most pennywise pound foolish thing WWE could do. But then again, line must go up. Exactly. I mean, they're not going to save all that much more money. But because you're right. That's an excellent point, in fact. What is it going to, it's going to be maybe 4 to 6. Let's say they get rid of, let's say they get rid of most of the writing staff, right? And like I said, they keep Koski, Heyman, and Hayes, right? No relationship, by the way. And let's say they keep all three and they get rid of everyone else. You know, the salaries of these, you know, these first years and whatnot. And like, they're not going to, like, that's not going to affect the bottom line. It's not something that is going to outright like change the financial future of WWE. You know, they're not going to go to their TKO overmasters and say, look, we saved 6 salaries from low-level writers, and then, you know, receive medals and, you know, gift baskets of appreciation. The gift baskets will probably be more expensive. The technology for holograms has existed for over a decade now. Oh, I know. The point is, you know, they'll using it in a ring, like in a true 360 fashion, where the match is powered by AI or some bullshit like that. That's what I'm thinking of. That's what I'm going for. And neighbors are, I'm not sure if they're arguing or just having a good time. I think they're having a good time. They did that with boxing over a decade ago, and it was Ali versus Sugar Ray Robinson. Did they do the was it in a ring? Was it like I don't quite remember, as you can tell. I don't remember that ever happening. Oh, it was editing. Sure. But what I'm talking is like projection, like they look like they're there. You know, like Tupac that one time. And look, like all of these right-wing weirdos, they're all into these AI mock-ups of, you know, you've all seen the Martin Luther King WWE promo videos, right? Which are insane. And one side of the coin, insane. The other side, you know, disrespectful. And, but they're so into this stuff. Like they're deeply into this, to these AI fakes. And if they can figure out how to pull off wrestling matches with dead people now. Anyway. We have the real hologram at home. Plus his clone. And you see the clone. See, that's the hologram thing, but the clone is like that. No, it's actually like this. You go on the other side, Warren. That's when it looks like a C. Clever. C is for clever. We see hologram on Collision every week, but you're fine with that. Oh. You and your whataboutism. Did we all take an opportunity to take a look at David Otunga? That's not something you hear every day. Did we all take an opportunity to take a look at David Otunga's video regarding Andrade and his non-compete clause? Because that's something that he released, he being David Otunga, a few days ago. And it's an interesting video because I found there was a couple of interesting little tidbits that came up and does help explain this idea of, you know, contracts, because he is a legitimate lawyer. And I was thinking, chat, maybe we should take a look at it. And when I say take a look at it, you know, it's like I'll David fire Otunga. It up. Shush, David. You know, and I'll pause and comment as we go along, because I don't know if everyone saw this. And I think at the very least, you know, I think there's a couple of things that he brings up here which sort of shifted my understanding of how contracts work. well, I mean, like WWE contracts, I should say. So I'm like, okay, well, I think it's interesting, and I think that every wrestling fan should watch this, right? It's not necessarily the most mind-blowing video of all time, but I think it's good. I think it's a good primer, and it does. There's some interesting bits, and I'll point them out as we go along. Okay, here we go.
I'm David Otunga, the only Harvard-educated lawyer in the history of WWE.
Wait, hang on a second. Wasn't Chris Nowinski? Wasn't he from Harvard? Chris Nowinski's a Harvard educated. That was his gimmick, that he graduated from Harvard and was in WWE, right? Or was he not a lawyer? Is that the thing? Is that he's a lawyer? That's what he says, right? He says he's a lawyer. Whereas Nowinski is just like a graduate. He could have graduated in, I don't know, molecular biology or whatever the fuck.
Professional wrestling. Well, Andrade, who was released from WWE, is now in some hot water as he appeared on AEW. And
I'm just realizing right now, because I watched this on my phone the first time. And I was doing something else. So I was mostly listening as opposed to watching. Brother has a really bad green screen. Like, I don't know if you can make it out. Like, you can see all the cutout. You can see the green. You can see the green reflecting on the sides of his face here. And I'm realizing, like, his whole background is just like, it's fake. Like, he got the worst possible renders of WWE championships. Like, the worst possible fucking, DeviantArt mock-ups he could find. Right? And like this Harvard Law School cup, doesn't sit well here with the other one. Like look, David, if you're listening to this because you're popping in because you saw this, show up that, in your copyright tab on your YouTube studio, look, props for this video. I enjoyed it, but you got to work on your background a little bit.
WWE is pulling the 90-day non-compete. So they have sent a cease and desist letter to AEW saying that Andrade is still under that 90-day non-compete. And not to mention, they also have a clause in their contract that could prevent Andrade from performing at a rival promotion for up to 1 year.
All right, so it's not just 90 days. It's like a full year. So, I don't know where he got his information. Hang on, I'm tangled here. What the fuck is this? Get out of here. Tangled in some cables here. You should not see what's going on like around my feet here. Your senses would be assaulted. So what he's saying here, he's talking about the 90 days and a year, a full year. Correct me if I'm wrong, chat. I had never heard about the 90-day non-compete. And he just showed up and then disappeared. And then next we hear about it, we're talking about a year. Like, I never heard about the 90-day non-compete. Notice there isn't a Jennifer Hudson picture. Rude!
Unpaid. Now, is this legally enforceable? We'll get into it. So I found my 2017 WWE contract, which will be a whole video in and of itself.
Wait, I hadn't noticed this. Is there music playing? Yes, okay. Because I just paused it. Because I just paused. I hadn't noticed it when I was listening to it on my phone clearly because I was like, wait, where's the music coming from? So there's just music that suddenly begins. Okay.
Get a rival promotion for up to 1 year, unpaid. Now, is this legally enforceable? We'll get into it. So
all right.
I found my 2017 WWE contract, which will be a whole video in and of itself, if not multiple videos.
That's very interesting. And I think, look, this is where it gets really, really interesting. And honestly, I find it's ballsy on his part. He's a lawyer, so he probably knows what he's doing. But I feel like exposing contract terms, even when they're expired, there's got to be Like WWE will probably not like it if David Otunga decides to do an entire video on his contract. I will enjoy that video. I will gobble that shit up. Don't get me wrong. But, you know, WWE will probably not like that. And parentheses, clearly David Otunga doesn't give a shit about WWE anymore if he's ready to do this. He's probably like, let's just bring it on.
But for today, we're just focusing on the non-compete clause. So WWE's non-compete clause, it's called.
He has to work on his edit. David, again, if you're listening, because this popped up in your copyright tab, give yourself just a little room to breathe between your edits. Okay, just a little bit. We're just coming in a little fast. It's not quite natural. Doesn't it? It surprises the viewer. So you just give. It's okay. Like, you're starting off. We're not trashing you. We're not saying, so, the two comments I give you, it's like, fix your green screen lighting so that, it doesn't look like you're ill. And you're editing between cuts is just give it a little room to breathe.
The covenant not to compete. And it states, during the term worldwide and in the United States for 1 year after the expiration or termination of this agreement for any reason whatsoever,
right?
Talent shall not perform or provide any services for or on behalf of any professional wrestling organization or entity not owned or controlled by WWE or any affiliated or subsidiary company thereof.
That's fine.
Actively solicit any talent of WWE, including without limitation any wrestler, announcer, referee, or so-called legend, or any of its affiliates or subsidiaries.
Why did he smile when he said, or so-called legend? Like, did you notice? He smiled like he got a little...
Of WWE, including without limitation any wrestler, announcer, referee, or so-called legend.
Why did he even giggles a little bit? It's like, I agree, it is funny. So-called legend, which is really funny. Yeah, but yeah, anyway.
Or any of its affiliates or subsidiaries to leave the employment thereof or terminate any contractual relationship therewith. Right, you get it. So if you leave the company, you can't get in contact with contracted talent to say you should leave the company as well. And induce or attempt to induce any customer, supplier, licensee, or other third party having a business relation with WWE or its affiliates, subsidiaries, to cease doing business with WWE or its affiliates or subsidiaries, yada, yada, yada. This is,
yes.
It goes on, but it basically says that 1 year after termination, there's a non-compete clause that's in effect. Now,
so this is here. Keep in mind, he said this was his 2017 contract. This has been around for a long fucking time. And this is like the first time we've really heard about it, right? This is like the first time we heard about it. Ibu said AEW are going with the 90-day non-compete at the moment, and they're hoping WWE fucks off and leave it at that. Well, let's continue.
Why we've never heard of this or seen this enforced before the Andrade situation, I'm not sure, but it appears that this non-compete has been in these contracts at least back to 2017. Now, here's the...
That's what I just said. That's what I just said. But the question is, like, why hasn't it been enforced, right? Well, Mr. Lawyer here, Mr. Harvard lawyer, has some explanations for us.
Section on independent contractors. So it says talent represents and warrants to WWE that his relationship to WWE and its various parent, subsidiary, and affiliated corporations under this agreement shall be that of an independent contractor and not an employee of WWE for any purpose whatsoever.
The wording's fucking clear, isn't it? You are not an employee here.
Talent shall have the sole control of the manner and means of performing his work, and WWE is interested only in the results talent obtains.
Isn't that a curious statement? Talent shall have the sole control and manner and means of performing his work. And WWE is interested only in the results talent obtains. Chat, think about that. What does that mean to you? Shall have the sole control of the manner of means of performing his work. And WWE is interested only in the talent, in the results talent obtains. Think about what that means to you.
That's a strange statement there. Talent does not have, nor shall he hold himself out as having any right, power, or authority to create any contract or obligation, either express or implied, on behalf or in the name binding upon WWE.
So that last statement, the last bit that he finished off, was basically in the contract saying the talent will not be empowered to come to WWE with a contract. Like they won't, talent will not come to WWE with a contract on their own. Whatever you sign with WWE will be a contract that WWE will provide to you.
Important part of this is that it says, so talent, they're making talent represent themselves as an independent contractor and not an employee. So that is very clear. But in the very next sentence, it says that talent shall have the sole control of the manner and means of performing his work. Now, wouldn't that mean that the talent could perform his work at another wrestling promotion that's not WWE?
Gee willikers, David, that's what I think as well.
Because, that's what an independent contractor is.
Right.
And that's written into WWE's contracts.
Right.
However, it is quite vague. And that's the problem with a lot of the clauses in this contract is there's so much to be left open to interpretation. And there's just a lot of vague clauses in here. Here's another issue I have with this line that talent.
So there's vagueness, and that's the kind of thing that, like we said, opens to interpretation. And then it's like, well, if you want to challenge it, take us to court. And maybe that's not what you want to do. Maybe you just want to be able to practice your craft, and you're like, well, fuck it, let's just do it, kind of thing, right?
Shall have sole control of the manner and means of performing his work. And WWE is interested only in the results talent obtains. Now, that means talent will have sole control over their character and what they create as an independent contractor. We know that's not always the case.
That is mostly not the case.
When they leave WWE and try to go to another promotion, because they can't take necessarily things from their character that they created, because WWE owns that, which is in a different section in this contract.
Right. And he's right. Like it's kind of weird in the contract where they'll say, oh, well, talent, talent can do whatever they want as an independent contractor. They can do whatever they want, use whatever means they can to perform their craft. But, because WWE is only interested in the results. That's observably false. There are multiple examples of WWE not letting wrestlers use whatever they've developed in WWE elsewhere. Look at the yes chant, right? Look at Danielson. When Danielson, I don't know if you remember this, when Danielson left WWE, he had said in an interview that he, out of respect for WWE, he wasn't going to do the yes chant, right? Do you remember this? And he wasn't going to do it. But everyone was still fucking doing the yes chant. But as long as he didn't do it, it wasn't a problem. But then at some point, Danielson said, fuck it. And he started doing the yes chant, right? And I'm pretty sure, if memory serves me right, in chat, you can fact check me on this one. I feel like Danielson at some point in an interview said that he received a letter from WWE asking him to no longer do the yes chant. And I think he didn't give a shit about what they wanted because he's still doing it. But I feel like he said that in an interview. He didn't say like it was a cease and desist. He said a letter, right? He said, I feel like he didn't say it was a legal document, not a cease and desist, nothing like that. He said it was a letter. you know? It means that however you perform steroids, that's on you. We only care about the end result. We don't want to know about it. I mean, that might be also part of it.
So the contract has a lot of contradictions, and this is one right here. The whole independent contractor part just doesn't seem legally enforceable to me, if I'm being honest. And so
now I wanted to point out another thing, okay? Because there's a lot of, there's a lot of folks that believe because AEW is a lot more, a lot more loosey-goosey with its politics, is not 100% entrenched into the current American administration, that, AEW is like this, this workers' paradise, this land of milk and honey. But while there hasn't been, I don't think there's been any AEW contracts that have been leaked, like it has been with WWE contracts in the past. The WWE still, AEW, still nonetheless considers its talent to be independent contractors. So when David is talking here about, I don't think that it's legally enforceable, there's a lot of us, myself, I don't believe that this would be legally enforceable in any way, shape, or form. And, I'm pretty sure AEW wouldn't want WWE's contracts to be challenged in court, because that would create precedent and that would necessarily affect their own contracts as well. They would have to change their appellation for their talent, or at least change the terms. And it would not be favorable for the companies, right? And I'm not saying this to say that AEW is like a sneaky, evil company. No, it's just a company. It's a corporation like them all. It's a wrestling promotion just like any other promotion. And they're all operating pretty much on the same basis, because that's just how it goes. That's just how it is. And until there is a real deal challenge, or until there's a union, it's not going to happen. But, until someone does stick up for the rights of talent, this is how it's going to go. It's going to stay like this, a la UFC, essentially.
Of course, the
Sports and Things shows. Nice to see you and welcome.
Jurisdiction, the venue here for this contract, if any legal issues arise, is Connecticut, which is very business friendly.
Yeah.
So WWE is trying to lean things in their favor. It's not like this contract isn't already heavily weighing on their side. So now let's talk about termination. WWE.
He really has to work on his jump cuts. Sports and Things shows. Nice to see you. Pay wrestlers $75,000 a year. Threaten those wrestlers to blow through legal fees if they shoot any of this down. Exactly. And why do you think a company like WWE has a massive legal department? Why do you think? Punk talked about this on the Cult Pod. He talked about a lot of things on the Cult Pod, let me tell you.
WWE shall have the right to immediately terminate this agreement at any time and for any reason, or no reason whatsoever, by sending talent written notice.
That's like pure comedy. Like it's like a joke contract, It's so funny to me. Let's listen to that again.
On their side. So now let's talk about termination. WWE shall have the right to immediately terminate this agreement at any time and for any reason, or no reason whatsoever, by sending talent written notice of termination, which termination shall be effective as of the date of such writing, as provided for in different sections of the contract. Should WWE terminate this agreement, the only obligation of WWE to talent shall be that WWE shall pay to talent compensation for those services already performed, but not yet paid as of the termination date. Now that was
what does
Section
that
A.
mean?
Section B In addition to its other legal and equitable remedies, including without limitation, injunctive relief, WWE shall have the right to immediately terminate this agreement at any time and without notice should talent fail to act with due regard to public morals and conventions, commit any act or do anything that is or shall be an offense involving moral turpitude under federal, state, or local laws, or which brings talent or WWE into public disrepute, contempt,
we wouldn't want WWE to be in public disrepute now.
Scandal or ridicule, or which insults or offends the community, do anything that injures or threatens to injure the success of any products or services of WWE, breach a material covenant, representation, and or warranty set forth in this agreement, or fail to perform services to the standard required by WWE to produce the programs as determined by WWE's approver in his sole and absolute discretion at the time of any such events or any time after WWE learns of any such events. Should WWE terminate this agreement pursuant to this section, WWE shall have no further payment obligations to talent.
Okay, so this is important. That's the moral clause. Exactly, Carlos. That's exactly what this is. It's the moral clause. I have a moral clause in my contract as well. And I think it's fine. Like, you should do that, right? Like, if I'm running around without any pants on and wearing my, my company hoodie on, well, like, the company pretty much has grounds to be, hey, you know what, buddy, we're done. It's, kind of thing. But yes, that's essentially the moral clause. But you see, like, the important part is what they said, is what he said there at the end, right? Is that if you're fired for moral reasons, then the company has no obligation to continue to pay you. I think there's a reason why David is pulling this up here.
There's a lot here, but this is the morality clause. So basically, this is a general catch-all clause that says if you do anything that WWE doesn't like,
disapproves
or that
of,
they could view as potentially
damaging,
making their company look bad, you could be terminated just like that, without prior notice and for no cause, or this is the cause.
So, that's pretty much it. And let's say we're connecting this to Andrade's situation. Well, Andrade, according to the reports, right, from what we know, he failed either one or multiple wellness checks, right? And he was escorted away from an episode of SmackDown, if I'm not mistaken, chat. Feel free to tell me you're wrong, Warren. I know most of you enjoy that. But I feel that that was the situation. So it may lead us to believe here that Andrade did something of ill repute for the company, something that is covered in the morality clause, and then led to WWE instantly getting rid of him, right? Just immediately getting rid of him and ceasing to provide him with a salary. Once they say they can fire you for no reason, why even go into a morality clause? Yeah, I mean, Atunga said it himself, right? There's contradictions here. But I guess these are just enumerating reasons as to why enumerating reasons that would make something to help you constitute what is moral. I think I think this is what this clause is mostly about.
But yeah, for no cause. And this is wide because it said anything that injures or threatens to injure the success of WWE. So it doesn't even have to actually make WWE look bad, but something that they deem could look bad, which again is very, very wide. So under this
Because let's say, we're speculating here, right? We're not saying this is what happened, okay? But let's say Andrade, blew a couple of wellness checks, and it, maybe it wasn't because of some performance enhancers. Maybe it was because of something a little more recreational. Well, maybe WWE's like, you know what? We're not dealing with this shit because this has the potential to make us look bad. You are a mid-carder. You are not worth the headache, kind of thing. And again, I'm not saying that this is what happened. We're just speculating here.
Compete clause. Technically, a talent could sign a contract. WWE could turn around the next day and fire them for no cause, and then say, hey, also, we're not going to pay you for 1 year, and you can't wrestle anywhere else for 1 year. And this is in the contract.
That's kind of wild. That's absolutely bonkers.
That would be enforceable, presuming that this contract is valid and everything in it. So now what happens in practice is...
Yes, what does happen in practice here, David?
Traditionally, talents will be terminated, and WWE will give them a 90-day non-compete period in which they've still been compensated. So that's 90 days where these talents are still being paid.
Right. And we know this, right? That's usually the thing, right?
They just can't go to a rival company. And this is WWE just, in essence, being nice and not trying to enforce the full force that they've written in this contract with the 1 year unpaid non-compete. So the fact that traditionally gives wrestlers a 90-day non-compete and they pay them during that time, that's not actually WWE being nice. That's WWE being smart, because they're trying to keep these disputes out of court. They don't want talent to take them to court and challenge this, because a judge would likely just rule this invalid on its face.
So you see, like this, doesn't this start making a lot more sense? So the 90-day, so essentially, WWE is just like, when they fire someone, they're like, look, instead of sending you home for a year and you rotting away, not collecting a dime, we're going to send you home, and for 90 days, we'll continue to pay you as long as you don't go work for anyone else. Capiche? We're good. See, we're nice guys. But like Otunga said, and like what I said earlier, these companies don't want their contracts challenged, right? Because if WWE started doing this right and left with the 1 year non-compete, no salary thing, then WWE would, there's definitely a wrestler or multiple wrestlers at one point would probably just like, no, fuck this shit. If I can't do this for 1 year and I'm not, and you cut off completely my livelihood, fuck you, I'm taking you to court. And WWE does not want these contracts challenged in court, because they know deep down inside that their contracts are flimsy and bullshit, and a judge will throw them out.
The fact that you're preventing somebody from working to support themselves in their given field for an entire year, and you're not compensating them. So that right there, we can go back to contract law 101. It has to be equal on both sides,
right?
Or where you're giving up something in exchange for something else.
Yes.
But in this situation, that talent would be giving up their right to earn a living in exchange for nothing.
So it doesn't make sense. You see how this would be immediately, it's making sense. You see how this would be immediately thrown out, right? It would be immediately thrown out. I have a non-compete in my, I've talked about this before. I have a non-compete in my shoot job contract. And I think it's like 30 days. It's not like 90 days. And, basically my severance package covers those 30 days, essentially. So I do get, I would get something if I were to quit my job, or but then I can go work for a competitor, because the idea of a non-compete is that you don't leave, with company secrets, and the next day you're at your competitors with all of your, basically, your a hard drive full of secrets, essentially. That's what this is about.
Because they wouldn't be compensated by WWE. But it's different when WWE pays them something, because now they have a little bit more leverage for the contract to be seen as somewhat reasonable, but the argument can still be made. However, when WWE is not compensating the talent, I don't know how they can enforce this. In this situation with Andrade, he has been given a 1-year non-compete that is not compensated. If he were to take this to court, I think a judge is very, very likely going to rule in his favor and just throw out that entire clause of the contract, because you can't prevent somebody from earning a living for an entire year.
I agree. It doesn't make any sense. And with everything that we're being told right now, right, with David, walking us through all of this, it bears to, it seems like Andrade did something really, really bad. It did something that WWE took offense to in their morality clause and decided to just shut him down. We're not giving you an extra dime type of thing. Whatever he did, it seems like what he did was really, really bad, to not have the 90-day enforcement and to go full on 365 days. That's actually kind of bonkers.
But then the better question is, why did WWE decide to enforce?
He really has to fix his editing.
But then the better question is, why did WWE decide to enforce this now? And on Andrade, this clause has been in their contracts for a long time. And I'm sure there's guys who've had, I know there's guys who've had way more heat with WWE than Andrade, but they never did this. So why, of all people, are they choosing to make an example out of?
I like this. He's like, I know there's guys who have had way more heat with WWE than Andrade. Like, yeah, I bet you do. And I think I know a couple
right now. Is this worth it to WWE to go and battle Andrade in court about this when they're likely going to lose? I don't know, Jerry McDevitt. I don't know about this one. What?
He's Jerry McDevitt, who's not around anymore. Come on now. Come on, Dave. Get with the times now. Jerry's not around anymore.
What other reason could there be for WWE to hold up Andrade like this? This is unprecedented. This has never happened before. And a non-compete is really supposed to be based on preventing trade secrets from being spilled. I really don't think there's any trade secrets at this point that Andrade carries with him.
That's a very fucking good point. What trade secrets does, it's not it's not Triple H who's leaving the company, right? It's Andrade, mid-card Andrade. What does he have? What does he have, right?
So it's not that at all. And in professional wrestling, presumably, it would be to stop momentum, a momentum shift, for example.
Yeah,
if Andrade were really hot in WWE and then he was going to AEW, right, the next day, the next week, they don't want him to take all that momentum from WWE. That doesn't seem to be the case here at all. All due respect to Andrade, but he wasn't lighting things on fire right before they kicked him out. What?
Look at this. Look at David Otunga turning into Dave Meltzer. He's coming into my space here. He's coming in with the analysis. Hey, you do the contract reading and leave the analysis to us, Otunga. Jesus Christ. We're already scrambling for crumbs here.
What's their game plan? what could they be getting out of this? Which makes me think about strategy.
Okay. I don't know. Like, we've got like about a minute left. I'm the rest is him fantasy booking. Do you want to hear it? Because I'm kind of like, oh, come on. But like, he's fantasy booking and he's like, he's got tinfoil conspiracy hat on. Okay, let's do it.
WWE, they have a very good business strategy and everything is done for a reason. I wonder what that reason is this time. Is it possibly they're trying to gain leverage on AEW or something? So hear me out. Now,
hear me out. I swear. See, he's coming. He's horning in on my racket. He's like, hear me out. What? He's like, let me tell you. I'll tell you what's going on here. Hear me out.
Might be wild. It might not be. But what if WWE is doing this to Andrade to get to AEW, to try to put pressure on them, to then allow Edge to come back to WWE to battle John Cena one last time?
I think David Otunga has I think he has a secret Reddit account where he goes on our fantasy booking and lays this shit. Because this is the wildest reason I have heard for this shit to be happening. So that AEW can relent. Like, WWE says, well, if you send us Adam Copeland, we'll let you have, for a match with John Cena, we'll let you have Andrade back. Jesus Christ. David, no.
What if that's it? Actually, that would be pretty dope. Because if it is, all right, look, we can let them slide with this contract nonsense for right now, just for that.
No.
But eventually, they're gonna have to clean up this contract situation. But if they get us Edge to come back,
come on,
and have one more match with John Cena, hey, I'm here for it.
Dave,
and
stop it.
Just happens to be a pawn in this chess match.
David, no, stop it. You're not a mark. Cut this shit out. David, no. So there you go. Like, that's the video. I thought this was a really interesting little thing that he put together here. I don't think it's like, I feel like he could have gone more in depth, right? Like, really dug in, but clearly, like, he did a nice, tidy, like 15-minute-ish video. He wanted to keep it short. I understand, not everyone wants to do long talk videos like Warren Hayes does, because Warren Hayes can't shut up about things. But I still think that this was informative, if only to have gotten the information that this 1 year unpaid non-compete thing has been around for years. My reflex was to say, oh, fucking new TKO bullshit. But no, this has been around for years. It's just that it's never been enforced before. As far as we know, it's never been enforced before. And now it's being enforced with Andrade for a reason that we're not quite sure, but was probably a very serious reason. It was probably for something substantial that WWE didn't care for, that fell into the morality clause, probably, and now they're like they're shutting him down for a year, and that fucking sucks. Like, honestly, that sucks. I'm triply curious to know what he did, because I'm pretty sure he didn't assassinate anyone. He didn't kidnap and torture people, as far as I know. I mean, if he did, well, he should be in jail. Shouldn't be just like sitting at home not collecting a paycheck. He should be in jail. But like, what is the thing that made this so serious? I'm very curious to know what happened, right? As Chad pointed out earlier, saying Ibu says that AEW is going to play the game and bring him back in 90 days and then see what happens, right? They're going to give them the 90 days as opposed to the year and then see what happens. But then what's AEW's strategy here? Going to take him to court? Is that what they're going to do? They are going to take WWE to court over this, over the contracts? Because WWE can 100% then call AEW's bluff and say, you don't want to go to court over this because your contracts are likely very much like ours, right? And both sides probably know this because some AEW guys went back over and, they probably talked about it, being some good soldiers. They've probably shared the information. I don't see why AEW would get behind. I don't know why AEW would get behind going to court to challenge this because it could negatively impact their own contracts. I don't know. I don't know how this is going to turn out. I'm very curious, but thank you, David Otunga. We learned that this 1 year non-compete has been around for multiple years. That WWE has never really enforced it because they don't want to be challenged in court with it. And I think in this circumstance, they're like, well, we'll use it. Because if AEW wants to challenge, well, then they're putting themselves at risk as well. I think there's a bit of quid pro quo going on here. So there you go. Hope you enjoyed that. I did, and I'm looking forward to more on David Otunga and his deep dives into his AEW contract, into WWE contract. Just, get the green screen fixed, David. Jerry is watching Matlock. I found out recently there's a Matlock reboot, and Matlock is an old lady now. Like instead of it being an old man, it's an old lady. But they didn't hold Riddle out for a year. See, that's what I'm trying to. Okay, first of all, I mean it's a perfect comp. Don't get me wrong. It was another administration to begin with, right? Right. That was under Vince. This is under TKO. Maybe TKO is just going to be more harsh with this. Maybe they're making an example. I don't know. Again, I couldn't tell you, but you would think that that Matt Riddle would fall into that category, right? Instead of just the 90 days, where it'd be like, yeah, no, brother, we're severing ties. You're gone for a year, like out of the public eye. But again, like maybe they just don't want people to challenge. Maybe it's not worth it to them to be brought to court and then lose. Maybe it's just not worth it for them. Maybe like it's all a question of expenditures, right? Where they're like, look, what is more advantageous for us? The legal hassle, paperwork, and expenses to have this challenged in court, or just paying the guy 90 days. And I would say probably just paying the guy 90 days. I would say. But I agree, if there was a guy who was 100% amoral, let's put it that way, who absolutely broke the morality clause, it's Matt Riddle. I agree. You can't let Andrade go to AEW and let them know how burnt out and insecure Paul Levesque is. No, that's the big trade secret right there. The marks are in the ring. Yes, they are. Yes, they are. They really are now. Matlock is Kathy Bates? Excuse me? I fucking love Kathy Bates. She's the new Matlock? This for real? Holy shit. Oh my God. Oh my God. She really did get old. Oh my Lord. And she's Matlock? It's on CBS, so it can't be good if it's on CBS, right? It can't be good, right? Sundays, 8 p.m. after 60 minutes. Yeah, it's not for me. See, that's it. With that time slot right there, I know that it's not for someone like me. Season 2? The chat is the Matlock reboot goated? Kathy Bates is great. Is this what she's been doing? Little TV gig? Kathy Bates says she'll retire after Matlock reboot. No, Kathy, no! God damn it. No. Life sucks. Life sucks. I'm looking at the time, looking at what we have left on the docket. Okay. I think the bracket, look, I talk about the brackets on a bit on the Dynamite review today, but I think I'm going to save that then for Monday. That'll still be relevant talk there. Let's pull this article up here. Again, from the Figure 4 Online, the Observer. Let's read this article here. It's an article by Boy Joss Nation on top of that. In a move that has been, this is about the, let's read this. It's about the ever-changing landscape of media in the United States. In a move that has been expected for quite some time, Warner Bros. Discovery, the primary media partner of AEW, has officially put itself up for sale. It revealed the news in a Tuesday press release, Tuesday being the 21st of October. It revealed in a Tuesday press release saying that they are doing, quote unquote, a review of strategic alternatives to maximize shareholder value. Yuck. Which is another way of saying they are looking to be sold. Their previously announced June 2025 plan to split up their various broadcast entities and other properties into two separate publicly traded companies by mid-2026 is still ongoing as the potential sales process proceeds. AEW is in year 1 of their current WBD TV contract that runs through 2027 with an option for 2028 that sees the weekly Dynamite and Collision shows on TBS TNT simulcast on HBO Max and the AEW content archives available on HBO Max. That deal also includes AEW pay-per-views available at a discount for HBO Max subscribers, in addition to the new Tailgate Brawl pay-per-view shows, pre-shows, I should say, that are also simulcast on TNT. In the release, WBD mentioned they had unsolicited interest from multiple companies for both the entire WBD company and WBD alone. One of those players is believed to be Paramount Skydance, in a story that began brewing in mid-September, with a story floating last week that WBD turned down a lowball offer. As of this January, Paramount Skydance will be partners on a 7-year UFC TKO media rights deal, because they're suckers. No, that's Jason didn't write that. That was some editorializing on my part. WWE media partner Netflix was also rumored to be involved until their co-CEO threw some cold water on those rumors. Well, listen, this is why not that long ago, when we were talking about the future of AEW and whatnot, we expounded quite a bit. We brought up some scenarios and whatnot, but ultimately ended up saying, we won't even know what talking about the, in 3 years when the deal is going to be up, it's like, where could AEW go? Remember when we were talking about how, with the ESPN deal, we discussed how the field was shrinking for AEW to go have proper negotiations, since Disney was probably out of the talking because TKO would probably want exclusivity when it comes to pro wrestling on, whoever partners networks they're negotiating with. Netflix is out of the deal, and BCU would be out of the deal. Now ESPN as well. And now, so, we were talking about all of that. And I remember saying, after all the speculation, saying, but look, we don't know what the field, what the media landscape is going to look like in 3 years. So, we might be all speculating into the void right here because things are going to change tons until then. And now look at this. Paramount might be on its way to becoming like the most powerful, movie and television studio in the United States, right? They could be right up there, if not the most powerful, one of them, right? I'm super thrilled, by the way, for the United States to join us here in Canada and eventually having only 2 media conglomerates overseeing all of media and production from an entertainment point of view, like we do here. We'll give you tips on how to deal with it. So, look, again, there's so much still that needs to be worked out here. Clearly, we're in the infancy of this, but I mean, there's going to be a deal here. Warner Bros. Is going to be sold to someone. David Zaslav is going to be the guy who's going to put the nail in the coffin here. Now, like the article said here, Paramount Skydance. No, wait a second. Where was it? Just to make sure I get the quote right. Here we go. In the release, WBD mentioned that they had unsolicited interest from multiple companies for both the entire WBD company and WBD alone. So Chad is asking, so they didn't split? No, because the split is supposed to happen next year. So they haven't done the split yet. But, as a lot of us speculated, Zaslav decided to split the company back into 2 companies to make it more attractive for a sale. So that if someone just wants the studio, the movie making, the content creation machine, as opposed to the outlets, then they would be able to do so. They would be able to buy Warner Bros. Discovery, the studios, as opposed to the entire company, right? Which includes the television networks and whatnot. So I mean, we literally have no idea how this is going to shake out. We like anyone telling you right now today, oh, this is how it's going to happen, is either someone that's sitting right in the boardroom, or is it complete and utter fraud? Like there's no possible scenario that you can figure out here to go, oh yeah, absolutely, this is what we're going to do here. In the latest offer, the Ellison said that Zaz can be a co-CEO. all the guy wanted to do was be a Hollywood mogul. That was his dream. So he's going to get it. But he's terrible at his job. Like, obviously, like, this guy is really, really bad at his job. I mean, look, we've talked about this as well. You know, when it comes to AEW, I refuse to fall into panic mode. There's no reason to fall into panic mode. I know AEW fans are an anxious lot, but there is no reason to worry. AEW, wherever they fall, will be fine, no matter where they fall. They might fall at a place where they have maybe a smaller deal, you know, and that might also be due to the new ways of calculating ratings, right? This new way of calculating ratings where everything seems to be a little lower. There might be a lot of adjustments. Might be a lot of adjustments for WWE as well, right? You never know how all of this is going to turn out. Ultimately, AEW is going to end up somewhere on another network and is going to continue to be broadcast. I don't have any qualms with that. I'm not worried about it. It's going to be fine. It's backed by aren't the Khans like something like the 12th most richest family in the world? Something like that, right? It's something to that effect. When I say that AEW is going to be fine, it's going to be fine. So I don't think you have to worry about AEW in this circumstance here. What I am worried about is the state of production, like movie production, studio production, in the United States, right? That's something that I would be more concerned about over where's my favorite pro wrestling company going to fall. You know, the number of studios is going to shrink. There's going to be less and less people working, and the content is going to be more and more homogenized. You're going to get a less diverse palette of high-level productions. Instead, it's all going to become slowly into like just one big gray blob where everything sort of looks, sounds, and feels the same. And we're going to lose an adventurous spirit of creativity as things continue to consolidate like this. Plus, on top of that, you know, AI and whatnot. So, you know, it's like I'm more worried about the entertainment industry in general. I don't think this is good I don't think this is good at all, actually. I really don't. And and for those of you who might still believe in the rule of law as opposed to your president, you know, there will be no oversight by the government. There won't be any antitrust questions that are going to be pulled forward here. If Paramount wants to move forward, I think Ellison even in an interview said, I have a trump card. It's like, oh, fuck you. You know? So, you know. That's where I'm most worried about, much less than AEW. I think AEW will be fine. I think whatever happens, AEW will continue to have a spot on a national network, cable, broadcast, whatever. Probably cable, or maybe a streaming home. But they're not disappearing. As much as tons of people with AEW rejection derangement syndrome will lead you to believe they're not going away anytime soon. So I wouldn't worry about that. WBD don't have to sell. They're paying back the debt quicker than expected. They do have an expensive bridging loan that needs to be sorted. I will take your word for it. I will admit to not being that deep in the weeds. I did know that they had a considerable amount of debt, but yeah. We're right now at lower production levels during the pandemic as of now. Yeah, it's not great. It's really not great. People working in the entertainment industry, it's people want to make a decent living anyway, or just a living. It's not looking good. Don't forget the phone, Mr. Warren Hayes. What phone? What phone are we talking about? I don't know what phone we're talking about here. The telephone? There's also a gigantic lack of media coverage because why would publicly traded companies tell everyone that they are doing badly? You'd think there'd be people, journalists, following this and making stories out of it, but the state of journalism in 2025 is not great, pal. Got some exciting news coming out of CMLL and their Informa show just a couple of days ago. CMLL is continuing to expand its international ties by announcing an official partnership with Japanese women's wrestling promotion Stardom. The business relationship was announced on Wednesday night during CMLL's weekly Informa talk show. CMLL boss Salvatore Luteroth Lomeli, no one does that, just call him Salvatore Luteroth. And Stardom president Taro Okada both appeared for the announcement. Kunosuke Izui of Japanese wrestling magazine Ladies Ring, who helped bring the two promotions together, also appeared. This is a funny tweet by Lucha Blog. Salvatore Luteroth is here to talk about Rush Friends, a good Mexican-owned company celebrating its 70th anniversary. I'll keep it in mind when I next change my car oil filter. He's so funny. He's so dry pan funny. I love it. In the partnership, CMLL and Stardom will exchange talent with the goal of benefiting both promotions and advancing women's wrestling worldwide. Stardom wrote this. They said Stardom wrote, I guess the Twitter account. This partnership was made possible through the efforts of Lady Ring's Konosuke Izui, who has long served as a bridge between CMLL and the Japanese women's professional wrestling world. In addition, Stardom's sister organization, New Japan Pro Wrestling, also has a partnership with CMLL, and Stardom's entry into the organization will further expand their ties. CMLL now has official working relationships with AEW, New Japan Pro Wrestling, Stardom, and Major League Wrestling. This Friday, CMLL is presenting its annual Women's International Grand Prix at Arena, Mexico. Stardom's Hazuki and Koguma are two of the participants. There will also be representatives from AEW Ring of Honor, being Mina Shirakawa, Sky Blue, Julia Hart, Tekla, and Diamante. MLW, represented by Shoko Nakajima, that's a stretch. And Revolution Pro Wrestling, Rev Pro, essentially, they will be represented by Kanji. This is exciting. I think this is tremendous news. And the immediate beneficiaries of this will be the luchadoras. No disrespect, but the luchadoras are on very uneven footing, I find, with what a lot of women's international pro wrestling looks like. And there are reasons for this. And sometimes there are reasons you don't want to hear, like the following reason. Women's wrestling in Mexico is absolutely 100% seen as an attraction, a distraction slash distraction, but is not taken seriously. And There are reasons for that, cultural, so on and so forth. I'm not saying that it's a good thing in any way, shape, or form. I'm just stating a fact. That's just how it is. Now, because of that, there is a lot less effort that is put into training and developing the luchadoras into becoming, I guess, fully fleshed out top tier professional wrestlers, unlike in Japan or, even in North America now. So it's maybe CMLL is just realizing that they're lagging behind a little bit in this front, that the women could benefit from excursions, from sending them off to do, Fantasticamanias, not Fantasticamania style shows, but for women, like in Stardom, right? Because the dudes have all these opportunities. The dudes have all sorts of great opportunities to do Fantasticamania in Japan, Fantasticamania UK, even tried to do a Fantasticamania in the US. And then the exchanges between AEW and whatnot. And, yes, there are luchadoras who do come over to AEW. They mostly work Ring of Honor, though. There are opportunities, but, Olympia is going to be featured. It's going to be featured in the Tony Khan verse very, very soon. So it's not that there's no opportunities. I think they just want to create more and allow their women to be able to go and sink their teeth into experiences that exist elsewhere and then bring them back to Stardom and be like, yeah, this is what, we went over here and we worked like hell. We worked like hell running these fucking, high speed matches in Stardom. Now we're back here and we're like, oh, we picked up a bunch of stuff. Like, it's really the best way of doing it. And the women don't get all that many reps either in CMLL. The past couple of Fridays is different, right? Last week they had their all women's show. They're doing the women's Grand Prix on Friday. These are exceptions because most of the time you're going to have one multi-person match, maybe two, with the other one being a singles match on a Friday night Arena Mexico card. Then you probably have to go to the Saturday shows or the Tuesday shows to get, or even on a Sunday show to get more women's wrestling. Like the opportunities just aren't there as much, especially not on the flagship Friday night shows, which is the big one, right? So maybe it's just CMLL that's like, you know what? Let's open up a partnership. Let's see what talent infusion can do to help elevate what we do, elevate our talent. I think there's only benefits out of this. I think there's legitimately only benefits out of this. And to be working with Stardom now, at this moment right now, where Stardom is arguably the hottest wrestling promotion in Japan right now. You'll notice I didn't say women's wrestling promotion. I said wrestling promotion. Arguably the hottest wrestling promotion in Japan right now. I think there's something there I think there's something really, really cool to be able to inject CMLL talent into their shows at this specific moment in history and vice versa. Like CMLL has been on a fucking roll for the past couple of months. They've had a really good year, but over the past few months, look, I know I don't talk about it a lot, but the Friday shows have been absolutely phenomenal. They've been on such a roll, right? And probably the best match of the year happened in CMLL a couple of weeks ago between Mystico and MJF. So like, this is very exciting because it's two promotions that are effervescent with talent and excitement. There's a lot of great stuff going on with them right now. It makes for a really fun announcement right now. Like, I'm so glad I got back into Stardom this year because Stardom has been phenomenal. And CMLL has been, I think it's been good all year, but I like since midsummer, they have just been spectacular, on a spectacular roll, quite frankly. So, it's like, why not? Yeah, I think there's nothing but good stuff to come out of this. Nothing but good stuff to come out of this. Plus, on top of this, Dave Meltzer, like, this announcement is happening just as Dave Meltzer announced or reported is the word I was looking for. Dave Meltzer reported, I think, on Wrestling Observer Radio today that CMLL had that the CMLL women's show that happened last Friday was the biggest drawing women only show in all of wrestling across the world of the past 7 years. In the past 7 years, there is not a single women's show, all women's show, that has drawn as much as last Friday's Arena Mexico show, which featured only women from top to bottom of the card. That's phenomenal news. Mercedes Moné was there. I'm just saying. But like, legitimately phenomenal news. And yes, it did much better business than this year's WWE Evolution. So, here I was, just to make sure that you realize how contradictory my previous statement was, where I'm like, how women's wrestling is not considered a draw, is not taken as seriously as men's wrestling in Mexico. We turn around and we have the women drawing this incredible house in an all-women show in Arena Mexico, biggest drawing all-women show of the past 7 years globally. That's a big fucking deal. That's a big deal, and it happens in CMLL. Look, I'm telling you, guys and gals, non-binary pals, if you are not watching CMLL, it's a disservice to yourself as a wrestling fan. I cannot stress it enough. Just coming in with some really fun, no nonsense, high flying, action packed pro wrestling with zero bullshit. No face planting into cakes. None of that bullshit. Just straight up pro wrestling. You need to get on it. You get on the CMLL. It's worth it. You can find it places too. Yeah. Anyway, good news for Stardom and CMLL. I'm very excited to see how this is all gonna work out for them. And it's interesting. It's interesting that Hazuki and Koguma seem to be like two of the envoys that Stardom is sending over, especially since there's been rumors that they're kind of fed up of Stardom, and because they've been working a lot of indies and they're kind of not super excited about Stardom. And maybe this is Stardom's way of just like, okay, look, what do you guys want to do? Do you want to travel? You can go to Mexico. You can go have residencies in Mexico and so on and so forth. How much is CMLL? And it's on YouTube. Yeah. And Meggie is correct. It is a hefty $35 subscription for their top premium tier, where you get everything live on that one. It's very convoluted, trust me. And Lucha Blog, on the actual Lucha Blog, has a primer. One of its resources is how do I watch CMLL kind of thing. So it has all of the ways to watch CMLL. You can also watch specific shows by buying basically the pay-per-view off of what is it? I don't. Is it Ticketmaster Mexico or some kind of some kind of video on demand service in Mexico, but you can buy it without an issue, like without a VPN or anything. So if you just want to jump in for a couple of shows, that's also a good alternative. There's lower tiers on the YouTube channel as well, where when you go to the lower tiers, like you don't get things live, but you'll get the VODs maybe the next day or 2 days later. So, you know, it depends on you know, what you want out of it, and of course what your wallet can afford, because I can understand that the $35 is a hefty price tag. I don't have an issue. Like, I think it's tremendous, but you know, like I said, you can also find it elsewhere if you just look around a bit. I mean, I wouldn't encourage it. I'm just saying, like, it's for entertainment purposes only. We've come a long way since Stardom's official Twitter account shit talking Tony Khan. I wonder why. I wonder why suddenly. Isn't it odd, right? Like the minute they get rid of Rossi Ogawa, Stardom just opens up and everyone's getting along with them and there's talent exchange. What the fuck is going on? It's almost as if Rossi was the problem. Rossi Ogawa, the most overrated personality in pro wrestling. I sincerely believe that. He's on the ballot for the Wrestling Observer Hall of Fame this year. I do not vote yet. I'm thinking about requesting a ballot, showing my stuff, because you have to have a body of work. You have to sound like you know what you're talking about. And I've been considering that. But listen, if I had a ballot, no way in hell would I be voting for Rossi Ogawa. Utterly overrated. And what should kill Rossi Ogawa's Hall of Fame consideration, quite frankly, is the fact that he leaves his promotion, leaves Stardom to start up his own new promotion. And not only is his new promotion tanking, but his old promotion is doing the best business that it has ever done in the history of its existence. As long as Rossi has been around, Stardom has not had this level of business as they've had since, you know, late 2024 right up until now. So that should just like slit the throat of his candidacy as a Hall of Famer. Not to mention he's losing wrestlers. That is correct. And there's only so much Mayu Iwatani can do before you need actual other wrestlers to do stuff, right? Can't believe Mayu did the jump. Well, I kind of do. She has such an she's loyal to him. She's just super loyal. If she hadn't been under contract, she would have jumped with him on the first day. She's just super, super loyal to him. Remember when the AAA deal was done and the fear of CMLL talent making the jump to AAA? Look how far away that feels now. True. Yeah, this is very true. But you see, like, WWE's tactics have changed because it seems like they've decided to not focus on poaching talent. It really looks like they just want an NXT Mexico, and they're going to complement it with their own talent. They're going to send WWE people that they've hired, that they have on main roster, and they don't know what to do with. And Lola Vice, and like Lola Vice and Shooter Natalia and the Garzas, right? Berto and Angel and That's what they're going to do. That's why they brought Santos back. That's why they brought Santos Escobar back, because they had plans for him to be a top guy. And he played the game and he was like, all right, do you want me to be a top guy? Where are you going to pay me? Good for him. And Finn Balor puppets, yes, see, for the Mr. Iguana. Remember Mr. Iguana when he was a big thing and everyone loved him? I've been watching CMLL mask versus mask matches from the 80s and 90s, and it's pretty wild to see how into it the crowd is. I love that. Like, that's why it's like, I don't want to get too much into it because I don't. Like, got to skirt around this now. Oftentimes, people will talk about titles and the importance of titles, right? For CMLL, but nothing will beat a luchador taking another luchador's mask. That's why a lot of people were sort of hoping that the MJF Mystico match would be mask versus hair, because that's much more significant. That's actually something that has proper meaning, A title is very secondary, and a mask versus mask match will always outshine a title match. Always, always, always. Speaking of Mr. Iguana, did you know he's wrestling on NXT on Saturday? There's an NXT show on Saturday. Good for him. Good for him. When did they start booking Nino Hamburguesa yet? Because the WWE fans are gonna love El Nino Hamburguesa. They're just gonna love him. If they loved Mr. Iguana, Mr. Iguana and La Parka versus Leon Slater and Javon Evans. You know what? I'm not gonna lie. That actually sounds pretty good. That actually sounds pretty good. What's the NXT main event? It's like Ricky Saints versus fucking Trick Williams or something. Some kind of deadbeat match like that. I'm assuming. There you go. That's AI booking for you, folks. All right. Well, I am going to wrap it up for tonight, folks. Thank you all very much for joining me on this lovely, lovely Thursday. Reminder, Mr. Warren Hayes show coming out next Wednesday, of course. The AEW Dynamite review is available right now on the channel if you want to check that out. Comprehensive deep dive into last night's Dynamite with all of my rage. And so there you go. That's pretty much it for now, right? Right. Thank you all very much for joining me. Hope you all have a great rest of your week and an excellent weekend. Go watch some Randy Orton and get back to me, and I will see you next time.